Hey, this is Ben Smith, and I'm going to be talking about Jack London. Jack London was born on January 12, 1876 in San Francisco, California, and he died on November 22, 1916 at the young age of 40. Two of his most famous works were The Call of the Wild, which was published in 1903, and White Thing, which was published in 1906, and have been considered two great American classics. The Call of the Wild is about a dog named Buck who is living in the Santa Clara Valley in California with his master, and he leads a comfortable life until he was stolen and shipped to the Klondike area in Canada and has a number of experiences that make him decide to live his life in the wild and not to return to civilization. A famous quote from The Call of the Wild was, "During the 4 years since his puppyhood, he had lived the life of a sated aristocrat. He had a fine pride in himself, was even a trifle egotistical, and as country gentlemen sometimes become because of their insular situation." This quote is talking about Buck because he was treated very well as a young dog while he was still living in the Santa Clara Valley. He was pampered and spoiled, and he was living life large. White Fang is born in an Indian village, and his mom is sold away at a young age, so he lives with his master Gray Beaver. His master takes him to Fort Yukon, where he fights other dogs. He is saved by a man named Scott, who tames him and brings him to California to live with him, where White Fang has his pups and can live happily for the rest of his days. The two eras that Jack London lived through were the Gilded Age and the Progressive Era. The Klondike Gold Rush was the main event in history that had a profound effect on both of Jack London's main books. In both The Call of the Wild and White Fang, Jack London writes about the Klondike Gold Rush, which occurred in the Yukon Territory in Canada in the late 1890s. Jack London lived in the Yukon Territory in Canada for a substantial period of time, trying to strike it rich, and so he would have had a lot of experience with this topic. London wrote about the Klondike Gold Rush in these two books because he had been able to experience it firsthand. The only major historical event that occurred in these two books was the Klondike Gold Rush. Why is Jack London important? His works give us a great insight into life during the Klondike Gold Rush. And Ernest Hopkins, a writer from the San Francisco Bulletin, said that no writer, unless it were Mark Twain, ever had a more romantic life than Jack London. The untimely death of this most popular of American fictionists has profoundly shocked a world that expected him to live and work for many years longer. The Call of the Wild and White Fang are widely read by students across America, and I personally read both of those books in 4th grade, and I enjoyed them very much. Both books have influenced how we are able to look back on the Klondike Gold Rush era, and even though they were both fictitious, they portrayed the time period very well. Jack London was named the American Kipling at the age of 24. He attended the University of Berkeley. He lived in the Yukon Territory in Canada during the Klondike Gold Rush, and he was a millionaire by the age of 40 when he passed away.